Yeah, away we go on a Friday, Mr. Irrelevant, episode 251. I'm Alex Strouf with you from the Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. Josh DiMaggio off today. Didn't realize that. And once again, the guy's just on a power trip. Doesn't want to tell me if he's off one day. Will Summers is here, though. Appreciative of him actually showing up on a Friday. Hunter Vaughn, Tiny Hands back at the Everlight Solar Studio in downtown Madison. It's a Friday. We're going to get a little wacky. We're going to get a little bit out there. If you're watching us on YouTube, you see the rundown. We're going to go from Da Pope to Romeo Doubs to 10 questions to the NBA playoffs to Bill Belicick to what we learned, okay? We're going to do a little bit of everything today because this is an outlet for me to talk about things that interest me. And while 99.5% of the time that is based around Wisconsin sports, right? The Green Bay Packers, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Wisconsin Badgers, the Marquette Golden Eagles, the Milwaukee Brewers, etc. There's a lot going on outside of Wisconsin that we need to address, which includes Bill Belicick. And we've talked a little bit about it over the course of the last few weeks. But I want to do like a full-blown deep dive into Bill Belicick. And, Will, is it Jordan Hudson or is it Jordan?
It's Jordan, but you can say Jordan.
Because that's how it's spelled.
Yeah,
There's two O's.
That's how Belichick fans say it, Jordan.
Jordan Hudson.
The casuals say Jordan.
Is she still 24, do we know? Still his 24-year-old girlfriend, or is she 25 yet?
She might be 25. I don't know. We'd have to look. But okay. I feel like the 24 has been over a year now. So
yeah, I do too.
In the terms of the calendar, that would make sense that she's 25 now.
I appreciate you and your wisdom.
College
your
degree be put to use there.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Will graduated college over the last weekend. And for some reason, he's still here. I don't know.
Jordan is still 24, so maybe she's just defying time.
Just like you, pal. Just like you. Still rocking your internship.
Yeah.
10 months later.
Yep, just hanging on.
That's good. We'll get to Belichick later. We'll get to the NBA playoffs later. We will get to a bunch of Packer stuff here in just a minute. But we got to lead with the biggest story in the world, right? For the first time since 2013, there's a new pope in the smallest country in the world, Vatican City, of course. So it is Pope Leo the 14th, is my understanding.
Yep.
Okay, did I get that right? Okay, good. Now, his real name is Robert Prevost, or Prevost.
I believe Provost.
Isn't that a church word, Provost?
I think
government
like a
word?
College. I don't know, man.
Oh, sure. Yeah, colleges have provosts. Yeah. Sure. So Pope Leo the 14th is the first American-born pope, is my understanding.
Yep.
Tells you how much I've researched this. He is from Will's neck of the woods, Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of rumors swirling yesterday about Pope Leo the 14th. The Chicago Cubs trying to claim him. I heard Hunter Vaughn on the Damn Sports Show in Beaver Dam, which he appears on every Thursday, say, man, as a Wisconsin sports fan, I'm feeling rough, right? The Bears, the Cubs, the Bulls.
He went to Villanova. So the whole Big East is done for. Yeah, they got a direct line to God.
Yeah, exactly, and that was Hunter's line yesterday on the Damn Sports Show. Now, here's the thing. When Hunter appeared on the Damn Sports Show yesterday during the 4 o'clock hour, it was understood that the Pope was a Cubs fan. Little do we know. Later that afternoon, his brother does a bunch of interviews, who still lives in Illinois, and says, not a Cubs fan. Pope Leo the 14th, White Sox fan. Just like Will Summers.
The funny thing about that is the one picture that is proof of him being a White Sox fan is a picture of somebody else, and his face is in the corner,
in the background,
in a playoff game.
Yeah, the 2005 World Series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the White Sox, amongst other teams, now have a direct line to God, to steal Hunter's term, which, as a Wisconsin sports fan, does not worry me. The White Sox, stinky doo-doo. The Bears always find a way to screw it up. Villanova down a few years. Now, you know what's fun is the Pope, as Hunter mentioned, a Villanova fan and graduate. So that means the Pope, off the top of his noggin, knows who Bronson Koenig is.
Yeah. Like
I was thinking. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Hunter.
No, I was just like the number of athletes that he like, especially if he's going to a World Series game at the White Sox stadium. Like, dude probably knows ball and like knows of that '05 White Sox team, and then again like the Villanova teams, and was probably watching the national championship when they're hitting the shot on North Carolina, and like. It makes sense now why Villanova had that. I don't know what he was doing for his White Sox after '05, but like it starts to make sense now. This was all preordained.
I had this exact thought earlier today. Like, think about it. The head of the 2,000-year-old Catholic Church has probably thought to himself, man, I hate Jerry Reinsdorf before. Like, me and him have probably shared so many thoughts, which is awesome. Like, he probably thinks, like, Ben Johnson.
So you've never
Bears might be back.
You've never felt more connected to God.
Yeah, it feels awesome.
Than this moment.
Like, my Twitter, the Chicago Twitter is just blowing up. Everyone is very prideful that the Pope's from Chicago. All the memes, the Da Pope. It's awesome.
Da Pope.
Da Pope is cool.
Communion's going to become Italian beef and Malort. Like.
Yep.
This has to be the first Pope that knows what Malort is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Has to be. Incredible. All right, well, there you go. There's a big news of the world news here on Mr. Irrelevant, something we often cover.
One more thing. I'm curious how he's going to manage his Sundays, because I'm assuming he's a football fan, right?
It's a good point.
With the time difference, I don't think it would interfere with morning mass on Sundays, but just a thought.
Well, what we might have to pay attention to here is because like now that he's the new Pope, I'm pretty sure they like basically go on kind of like a world tour, Taylor Swift Eras tour style here. Like, if this goes into the fall, is he planning things around like, oh, nope, Bears got Monday Night Football, can't do anything early Tuesday morning? Like, we're going to have to watch out for that, and then we'll know.
So Vatican City, 7 hours ahead of Chicago, Illinois, and, of course, Milwaukee, Madison, Green Bay, too. It is 7 hours ahead. So right now it's 12:38 in Wisconsin. It is 7:38 p.m. in Vatican City. So if they're playing a noon game, like that's great for him.
Yeah, catch it right before bed.
That's bedtime football.
Got all your duties done on a Sunday. Relax.
This guy's living the dream, isn't he?
Good football.
Living the dream.
Yeah, living the dream, leading a 2,000-year-old institution that has millions of people that hang on his every breath, and that's the dream.
That's a dream.
We talked about this
Hunter,
earlier.
you're a radio host. Wouldn't you want 2 million people to hang on every breath?
I want 2 million people to hang on every breath. Like, yes. What I don't want is the responsibility of leading an institution that is 2,000 years old, that like has defined huge chunks of human history and the weight that comes with that. That's what I don't want.
And that right there is the main reason why Hunter's at ESPN Madison and not Vatican City.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only reason why.
That's the only reason. Okay, let's get to football. This report yesterday. This is the second time this week we brought up Andrew Filipponi on this program, who is a radio host at 93.7. I believe it's The Fan in Pittsburgh.
Well, it's either going to be The Fan or The Zone. That's what every sports talk station is if it isn't ESPN.
Or there's a lot of games.
Oh, yep, the game.
That's about it, though. Fan, Game, Zone, and then ESPN, and there's some Fox Sports radios out there, I guess. But anyway, so 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh. Earlier in the week was the same guy that reported it will be Steelers-Vikings in Dublin, Ireland, which is contrary to what my buddy Ben Brust reported a couple months back when he said it would be Steelers-Packers. This tweet about the Steelers and Packers, though, from Andrew Filipponi on Thursday morning, saying that, according to a source, the Steelers have inquired about Packers wide receiver Romeo Doubs. Of course, Aaron Rodgers and Romeo Doubs played a season together. Doubs' rookie year in 2022. Packers obviously drafted 2 wide receivers in the first 2 days of the NFL draft a couple weeks ago. So we will see where this goes, according to Andrew Filipponi. Now, this latches on to other rumors that Rodgers and Doubs had like this great relationship during their single season together in Green Bay. But more famously, I think, the big takeaway from their year together was the fact that they didn't really have a relationship. Romeo Doubs quoted as saying multiple times on multiple different outlets, we don't really know each other that well. We've never had lunch together. We've never been with each other outside of the facility. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean Rodgers didn't like him as a player. It's just they didn't have a friendship outside the building. And Rodgers, obviously about 20 years older than Romeo Doubs, 18 years older than Romeo Doubs. So, of course, there's going to be a little bit of a generational gap there between the two players. I'm not expecting them to be best friends, but to hear all through the whirlwind now, that these two allegedly have a great relationship, and Rodgers really liked Doubs, and with George Pickens being traded from the Steelers to the Cowboys, there's certainly a hole at receiver in Pittsburgh. They have DK Metcalf. They like Calvin Austin, but it's not a great force of receivers in Pittsburgh right now when Aaron Rodgers inevitably signs with the Steelers. So that begs the question, essentially, with how many receivers are in the room and how much competition is going to occur in that room over the course of the next few months, could the Packers maybe take a step closer to contention by trading away a wide receiver for an asset, whether that's a player or a pick next year, etc.? Is it worthwhile to just say, we've got our guys. Go ahead, Romeo. Go get us something while you're still under contract as Romeo Doubs enters the final year of his contract? I don't know. This seems dicey to me because, number one, it's the beginning of May or mid-May. It just doesn't really seem like a time of year you're going, let's trade an asset. Now, when it comes to late September, early October, if Romeo Doubs isn't in the rotation, no, I would not be shocked if they traded him for a 5th or 6th round pick. But as it stands in May, I don't know if I love the timing of these rumors. Now, specifically to pick up on the language Filippone used in his report, it was that the Steelers have inquired about Romeo Doubs. That does not mean they've offered anything. That doesn't even mean the Packers said anything. It might have been, call from Pittsburgh to Brian Gutekunst. He says, hello, not interested, click. That's still inquiring. That's still an inquiry. But that's not a trade offer. So when it comes to Romeo Doubs and his future in Green Bay, I do believe this will be his final year. Obviously, as I mentioned, his final year of his contract. There's been some concerns from an injury perspective, dealt with 2 concussions last year. There's been some other concerns in terms of he didn't show up to work at one point last season. So, a head coach or general manager or an offensive coordinator, they're going to get driven insane by behavior like that. Specifically, the not showing up to work part. The concussion thing you can't plan for. And obviously, injuries happen in football. But you draft 2 wide receivers and Savion Williams in the 3rd round and, of course, Matthew Golden in the 1st round. You were at a point where you do have a pretty stacked room, right? Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks still have another year after this year under contract, so at least 2 more years for both of those guys. Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs entering the final year of their deals. It doesn't make sense to me to trade Romeo Doubs. I don't think the Packers will trade Romeo Doubs, at least now. Right? Could they in September, October, as we near the trade deadline? Yes, I do think that's on the table. But in May, when you've still got OTAs and training camp to go through, when injuries could happen in that room, you might want a guy with reliable hands like Romeo Doubs, especially when you were the team that led the league in drops a year ago. Just because they drafted 2 receivers, to me, doesn't say, Romeo Doubs out of the rotation now, he's your 4th receiver. That's just not what that says to me. I still think Romeo Doubs will be a big part of this offense, especially early on in the season. So that is the part where, they may have inquired. I don't think there's any real I don't think there's any real speculation to be had here of, the Packers are shopping Romeo Doubs. The Packers are really trying to get rid of Romeo Doubs. That's not my takeaway here, Hunter.
Yeah, I also feel like, what are you going to get for him? Like, what, a 5th round pick would a team give up for him? Like, I just don't...
right now, probably.
Yeah, like, is that really worth it? Like, do you feel like you're really going to be able to get a return on anything for a 5th round pick when you could have him as a depth piece and then just be like, at the end of the year, okay, bye. Like, sorry, it didn't work out. Go find somebody else to try and see if you can make your career work. Like, I just feel like that makes more sense for the Packers unless you can convince somebody to overpay. The Steelers aren't the type of team that would overpay. Like, you would need to send him to a poorly run organization to get something back above like a 5th round pick that's maybe a conditional 4th if he plays like 80% of snaps or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, look, the contract part is what makes it difficult, right? Because you're not getting a guy for multiple seasons, right? When you look at the DK Metcalf to Pittsburgh trade, that's a little bit different. You're negotiating a new deal, and maybe that could end up being the case here. But I just don't think the Packers are going to get anything more than a 5th, to your point. If they were to trade him now, obviously the value is higher, right? You get a full season out of him rather than, let's say, he gets traded midseason like the Packers traded Preston Smith to Pittsburgh last year with 11 games left. Then all of a sudden the value goes down, right? You're only trading a 6th round pick or a 7th round pick at that point. Now, Goody's been good when it comes to getting value for guys at the end of their deals. I think Clinton Dix is a good example. I think Preston Smith is a good example. Obviously, now he's a free agent. I think still a free agent. I don't know if he signed anywhere this offseason. Get something rather than nothing. And I think that could be the approach they eventually take with Romeo Doubs. I am not ruling out a trade come even August, right? When you're into training camp and you're starting to see, okay, who's separating themselves? Is Matthew Golden looking like a bona fide every down wide receiver? Then maybe all of a sudden you go, okay, maybe we could move on from Romeo Doubs. I don't know. I just think this report comes at kind of an odd time. And obviously it's because of what happened this week with Pittsburgh, right? They moved George Pickens, a guy they had been trying to move on from, to Dallas, giving Dallas, debatably, and not that this matters in this context, but debatably the best 1-2 punch at wide receiver in the NFL. Just wanted to give my buddy Hunter a pop there as a Cowboys fan.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Still think it's number 2 after Cincinnati, but I'll take it.
Yeah, that's why I said debatably. They're the other team that pops out.
Eagles
have a good 1-2 punch. And
they're trash compared to the Cowboys.
Well done. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. Could Jordan Addison take a big year 3 leap? I think so. Depends how J.J. McCarthy is, obviously. But in terms of just receiving ability, I would put them up there as well. Nonetheless, Pittsburgh is not sexy right now, right? I mean, we talked about it a little bit on Wednesday. To have DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin, and Pat Freiermuth essentially as your top options. I think Robert Woods is in Pittsburgh too.
Yeah.
Bobby Trees.
I think he's the wide receiver 3.
That doesn't scream championship contender to me, even if you add Aaron Rodgers.
It's a 9-win Tomlin, though. He wins 9 games every year.
He sure does.
And
is that good enough for a playoff spot in the AFC? Probably not.
Is also why I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is actually going to sign with them, by the way. Like,
I do.
I don't know if he's going to. I think he might try and do the sit out a year and see if there's something better next year. Like, he's crazy enough to do something like that. So because like that Pittsburgh team, like, okay, great, you're basically just the Jets, but now in Pittsburgh. Like, you're not that great of a team. You're middle of the road, and you're going to be fighting in a really good division. Cleveland's going to be better than what they were last year. Like, what are you doing?
I would just say this. Stability matters, right? And I mean, that's what makes, to Will's point, Mike Tomlin's stretch so impressive. If I'm not mistaken, he's the longest tenured head coach in the NFL. He might be second. I guess I don't know when John Harbaugh arrived in Baltimore, but those got to be the top 2. And then Andy Reid's been in Kansas City since, 2013, I think. So, look, I mean, stability matters. The Jets are a completely unstable organization. They have been as long as we've been alive, essentially. The Steelers, however, have consistently been relevant. Now, championship contending, that's a different story. But playoff good? Yeah, they have been. They've been in the conversation every year, just about. So that part matters. But yes, I mean, from an actual tools perspective, to your point, Hunter, this isn't a super sexy situation for Aaron Rodgers. Now, it's the sexiest he can find himself in on May 9th because he's continued to drag this out, and it will continue to drag out. I don't anticipate Rodgers to be signed for a while yet. I would guess it'll be a few weeks at minimum. And now I say that he'll sign in 3 minutes. But I just, it doesn't move the needle a ton for me for a 41-year-old, going to be 42 in December-year-old Aaron Rodgers. I still think he's got some gas left in the tank. I think he can still be a good quarterback, but can he elevate a roster like that to championship levels? No. And by the way, if you add Romeo Doubs to that room, I don't think it moves the needle at all. I think Romeo Doubs is a good player. I don't think he's a great player. And at this point, if the Steelers, even with adding Aaron Rodgers, want to become a championship team, they need great players, and they just don't have those. And look, no shot at Romeo Doubs. I think he's a nice piece. I think he's going to have a nice career in the NFL, albeit not in Green Bay after this year. But he doesn't just all of a sudden make them go, whoa, that offense is top 5 in the league. That's just not the case. So no matter what happens here, which I don't think anything will, it just doesn't move the needle a ton one way or another. Even for Green Bay, right? If they were to only get draft compensation, that does nothing for your team this year. If they get, of course, I'd love to live the pipe dream where the Packers send Romeo Doubs and a first-round pick for T.J. Watt, but that's not going to happen. So, anyway. Final thought on this, Hunter. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to clean up. Mike Tomlin, by the way, is the longest tenured head coach. Started in 2007, so 18 years. John Harbaugh, number 2, at 17 years. By the way, for you, as you're the producer of KBN, this list would be a good over-under for the guys.
I think I've done it. Longest tenured head coaches. I think I did it right after Belichick and Carroll left last offseason.
Okay, because, there's you've got 11 of them, because there's a tie with Dan Campbell and Nick Sirianni at 4 years.
Wow. The drop-off is impressive, right? So, the top 3, who I referenced before, so it's Tomlin in 07, Harbaugh in 08, and then Reed in 13, right?
Yep. Do you know?
And then after that, it'd be...
It's a tie for number 4.
Okay, so that would be...
There's
would that
3
be,
of them.
Oh, there's 3 of them. So then I'm going to go... I don't know if McVay and Shanahan started the same year, though, is the issue. I'm going to go Shanahan's one of them.
Yes.
Is McVay the other? Did they start the same year?
He is, and then there's a third.
That's Buffalo's head coach, who I always blank on.
Sean McDermott. Yeah.
Sean McDermott,
is that right?
Yep.
I'm much better at this than I am populations.
Yeah, you are.
Miles better.
So at this point, let's get the whole list.
Okay, so that's what, 6 of them?
Yes, you are through the top 6. So to recap, Tomlin 1, Harbaugh 2, Andy Reid 3, all of them into double digits. A tie at number 4 with Sean McDermott, Sean McVay, and Kyle Shanahan at 8 years.
Okay, so 8 years would make that what year? I'm sorry, just give me the year they were hired.
2017.
Okay, so shortly after that, so then you'd have LaFleur.
Yes.
He's 19, so that might be, is he next?
Yep, he is also tied with someone else.
Okay.
McDaniel, Miami's coach?
No. He was only 2 years ago. Or 3 years ago. LaFleur, okay. I like this. This is a fun game. Let's go to, who's the head coach of Tampa Bay? Bulls? No, no, that's not right. That's not right. I'm just trying to go around the league really fast in my head. McCarthy's gone. Allen's gone. Oh, this is where this gets interesting all of a sudden. The Jets, no. The Giants, oh, maybe.
Dable, yeah.
Dable's been there a minute. He might be on the list, but he's not next, I don't think. He's not tied with LaFleur.
He drafted Daniel Jones, didn't he?
I think so, yeah. Brian Dable's on this list somewhere, right?
No, just off the list at 3 years, 2022.
Wow. Okay. Who am I forgetting about? That is the question here. Washington, no. Philadelphia, you said Sirianni is last on this list, right?
Mm-hmm. At 4 years, he's tied with someone else.
Okay. I'm just running through teams in my head quick. I've got to be missing AFC teams. Is what's got. Oh, Stefanski's on here.
He is. He is number 9 at 5 years. So you're still missing a 6-year coach.
Is that Zach Taylor?
It is.
Cincinnati?
Zach Taylor, 6 years, 2019. You have one final one who is tied with Nick Sirianni at 4 years.
Oh, God. 4 years would make it 21. Was the first season, or 20 was the first season? This could be anybody.
You know him.
Is it McDaniel? Is that where he comes in?
Nope.
Is that McDaniels?
Mike McDaniel is 3 years.
Okay. No, that McDaniel. Yeah, Josh McDaniels. That was always confusing. I'm glad Josh got fired for that reason alone. I don't know. I'm stumped. Hit me.
Oh, come on. You're not biting off kneecaps? Dan Campbell.
Oh, it's Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Huh. Okay, interesting list. That was fun. I like that. All right. before we get to kind of the meat of our show today, which we have written 10 questions about the Green Bay Packers' upcoming season. Actually, Hunter wrote all of them. I don't know why I was trying to take credit. Before we get to that, Brian on YouTube says, this show needs to be 5 days a week. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate you listening and watching.
I agree, Brian. We should tell the other Brian, your boss.
Oh, jeez. Hunter's going direct. Ah!
Well, I mean, White Sox fans, they've got a direct line now, so I'm like, you know what? Maybe I just got to take that same approach here and just start going direct.
Comparing Brian D. to the Pope.
Yep.
Compare Brian D. to the Pope.
Gotta.
He did go to Marquette.
See? Just got a
Big East.
little bit. Yep.
Big East bias? Okay, good. I don't know if you were kissing ass necessarily. You were more making demands.
Well, but then I compared him to the Pope. Like, that's a pretty big compliment.
All right. Fair enough. Okay. All right, let's get to this. I'm excited about this. So, obviously, we are fully into the offseason now, post-NFL draft, waiting on OTAs, waiting on training camp in a couple of months. And there are still about, I honestly think there's at least 10 burning questions when it comes to the Green Bay Packers. So, those are the amount of questions I will answer. 10 burning questions when it comes to the Green Bay Packers 2025 season. I hope I have answers. I've got some good guesses when I don't have answers, but I will have some answers as well. Hunter, let's roll. Question 1, 10 burning questions for the Green Bay Packers 2025 season.
Starting off with, will Jair Alexander be back?
This is probably the hardest question you'll ask me because I'm still pretty torn on this. All options on the table. It's dragged out this long. My answer is yes. I do think Jair will be a member of the Packers in 2025. Now, how often will we see him? How often will he play? Your guess is as good as mine on that. Will he be under contract? As of now, subject to change. My answer is yes. But again, I think this is one of those situations where it could go any direction at any point. But I think signs more and more are pointing to yes, Jair will be a Packer in 2025.
Number 2, who will be the wide receiver number 1 for the Packers in 2025?
Yeah, it's hard to contain excitement when it comes to the first-round pick, Matthew Golden. You read any of the websites, any of the tabloids, any of the newspapers, however you are reading long-form content about the Green Bay Packers, it's pretty darn clear the expectation is it should be Matthew Golden. Given his straight-up ability to be an incredible tool for an offense. He's got the great speed. He played a lot of college ball. He was super productive in college. It seems like this is the guy Matt LaFleur has dreamt of having for years. And he's had some good receivers, right? I think Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs, those are good receivers. I think this is the first guy, though, since Davante Adams, that Matt LaFleur is looking at and going, I can make him great. So, while it might not be the case come week 1, I think by the time week 18 rolls around, the answer will be definitively Matthew Golden. I'm going to go with the popular answer, and that's the first-round pick out of Texas.
Question 2B, off of what you said, what would you name a Packers tabloid?
Unpacking the pack or something like that. I don't know. I'd probably make a pack term.
Yeah, probably a good idea. Number 3, what Jordan Love will we get in 2025?
Look, I've said this before. I think Jordan Love doesn't have any excuses entering week 1. He's got the tools around him. He's got what we assume is an improved offensive line given the way that went down this offseason. I know we'll get to offensive line in a minute. He's got a really good workhorse running back behind him, and hopefully a fresh pair of legs under Marshawn Lloyd, who was a third-round pick last year. The tools around him seemingly are the best they've been, and now entering his third year as the starting quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. I'm not saying you need MVP winning Jordan Love, but you need definitively top 10 quarterback in the NFL Jordan Love. And I think that is what you'll get. Because when it comes to him and LaFleur in this offense, it's the safest situation they've been in their 3 years together, at least with Love as the starter. So, top 10 Love, I think, is the Love you will get in 2025.
What will be the starting 5 for the Packers O-line?
Yeah, before I answer this, I heard Jason Wilde drop a nugget yesterday that really flew under the radar. So Elton Jenkins, who is the anticipated starting center this year, was not at the voluntary OTAs, which a lot of them were virtual because the draft was in Green Bay. Apparently, he didn't attend any of it. And if you were to speculate, it would be because he's frustrated with a couple of things. Number one, they signed a starting left guard when he was the starting left guard. Obviously, the starting center, and Josh Myers walked. Elton Jenkins is a guy that's proven he can play any position on the offensive line, and he can play it damn well. So it is anticipated he will be the starting center. But he hasn't been around. And maybe this is just a decision. Maybe there's nothing here. Or could it be that they signed a left guard to a pretty big deal in Aaron Banks, and Elton Jenkins wants a new contract, given that he is, debatably, either him or Zach Tom, your best offensive lineman. It's just something to keep an eye on. I'm not saying there's anything there, but hearing Wilde say that, who's much more informed and in the building than I am, I find that really interesting. So keep an eye on that, but Elton Jenkins will be your starting center. From left to right, I think it's going to look super similar to last year, to be real frank with you. I think left tackle will be Rasheed Walker. I think he'll win that battle with Jordan Morgan. I think the left guard will obviously be Aaron Banks, who you paid. Elton Jenkins, the starting center, and I think it'll be the same guys on the right side. I think it'll be Sean Ryan at right guard and Zach Tom at right tackle. Now, as it stands right now, it sounds like the competition spots will be right guard and left tackle. Jordan Morgan at left tackle, and potentially Anthony Belton, your second-round pick from this year, competing at right guard. He's got the size of a tackle, but his lower frame a little slow for tackle at the next level, according to some scouts and different people that analyze draft prospects. So he could be competing at guard like Morgan did a year ago with Sean Ryan in the final year of his deal. But I would guess from left to right, it's Walker, Banks, Jenkins, Ryan, and Tom. A lot of first names, last names on the Packers offensive line. I guess I never realized that. Walker, Ryan, Tom. Interesting.
2 first names. Can't trust people like that.
That's true. I agree with that. It's good advice.
Who will lead the D-line?
Go ahead, Hunter Vaughn. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Who will lead the D-line in 2025? Can't trust me.
That's true. Lead the D-line. Was this purposely vague?
Yes.
Okay. The safe answer is probably Kenny Clark, but I don't view that as a lead, right? I mean, you really want somebody to terrorize on the edge and stack up the sacks. I just don't know if the Packers have that guy. I want to say Rashawn Gary. I can't confidently say Rashawn Gary. My head says Kenny Clark. My heart says Rashawn Gary. I will go with my head here. I'm going to say Kenny Clark just because it seems like that's the guy that can cause the most disruption in that group.
On to the back half of our 10 burning questions. Can Edgerrin Cooper take the next step in 2025?
100%. I mean, when you look at what he was able to do on a limited snap count last week, which included winning NFC Defensive Rookie of the Week twice and being in the conversation for Defensive Rookie of the Year, yeah, he's going to be a starting linebacker. And that wasn't constantly the case last year. He was still a young guy who was still kind of wrapping his arms around the scheme and the game plan and things he'll be asked to do. He gets a whole nother offseason to digest it. And something we often talk about with rookies is their offseason is not always beautiful, right? You go from college football to workouts to pro days and combine. You might have a senior bowl in there somewhere prior to the combine. Then you get drafted. Then you've got rookie camp. Then you've got OTAs. Then you just don't get a break. For Edgerrin Cooper this offseason, it's the first time in 2 years he's had a break. Now, that doesn't mean a break from football. It's just a break from the constant grind. He can spend a little bit more time watching film. He can spend a little bit more time digesting everything. And he was really damn good in his rookie year. 100% he can take the next step in 2025. I expect him to be... I don't think this is a hot take by any means. I think he'll be the best defensive player on the Packers roster next year. I really do. I think what you saw last year was such a good sign of things to come, and that he can be an anchor for this Packers defense for years to come. Now, Xavier McKinney was obviously an all-pro last year, right? It's no shot at him. I think he's still a really good player. I think if Jair's back, like I predicted he will be, he can be a really good player if he's healthy. Hopefully Rashawn Gary can take that quote-unquote next step we've been waiting on him to take. But I truly do believe Edgerrin Cooper can be the best defensive player on the Packers roster next year.
some special teams talk. Is the special teams unit finally good for the Packers?
I mean, you feel good about where they're at, right? Obviously, Brandon McManus gives you some comfort at the kicker position. You like Daniel Whelan and what he's done in the punting game for the most part. Some few exceptions. Returner is going to be the one I'm the most perplexed by because the Jair situation is not ironed out yet. And if he is not on the team, that definitely means Keyshawn Nixon won't be returning kicks. I hope to God you don't have Jaden Reed returning punts anymore. Do you keep McCole Hardman on your roster for that reason alone, to return kicks and punts? I think it's worth the discussion at the very least, if not worth executing. Just keeping McCole Hardman as a returner and a sixth wide receiver. I think that's a good spot for him, depending on how the roster breaks out. So, is it finally good? I think it's finally above fine. How's that for an answer?
I'll accept it. Will we get a Packers-Aaron Rodgers reunion game this year?
Yes. He'll be the starting quarterback of the Steelers.
Okay. Will Tucker Kraft be top 5 in the NFL for yards for a tight end? I'm not going to go all receivers, but tight end.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, when you look at teams that heavily involve a tight end, many of them are getting older. Think about Mark Andrews and George Kittle and Travis Kelce. Naturally, there's just a higher risk of injury for those guys. And I think you saw it last year mostly with Kelce. You're probably not used as much in the regular season as you are as a postseason tool, which was the case for Travis Kelce. So I would guess yes. Now, there are some really good tight ends in the league. Brock Bowers is only going to get better for the Raiders. Sam Laporta is going to be back fully healthy for the Lions. I mean, there's some really good tight ends in the league. I think Tucker Kraft can become one of those guys. Now, the interesting part will be to see what Luke Musgrave's involvement in the offense is. Does that take away from Kraft? It could, and the answer could end up being no. But as it stands right now, my answer would probably be yeah. Now, he might be closer to 5 than he is 1, but he seems like a tight end who's starting to figure it out and get really, really good at this and can be an asset for the Packers for years to come. So I would say yes, but probably closer to 5 than 1.
You also forgot Jake Ferguson. I don't know if you know this, but Barry Alvarez's grandson.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
I've never heard that before.
I know. No one ever talked about it.
Yeah, no.
Final one, and this one might be my biggest hot take going into the Packers season. Will Green Bay be over 500 at home? So their home opponents, they have the Bears, of course, so then obviously Minnesota and Detroit, but then their non-divisional games are the Carolina Panthers, the Philadelphia Eagles, Washington Commanders, Baltimore Ravens, and Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, I was looking at the Packers' opponents the other night, so I will be with you on at least ESPN Milwaukee. I don't know about the other stations. Wednesday night from 7 to 8 p.m. As the schedule is released 7 o'clock Wednesday night, I will be hosting our coverage on kind of analyzing the schedule like the nerd I am. So I was looking at the opponents, that they have scheduled for 25 the other night. And yeah, Hunter's right. I mean, the home schedule is really tough. It's the divisional opponents, Eagles, Commanders, Ravens, Bengals, Panthers. That is not an easy schedule by any stretch of the imagination. Will they be over 500 at home or 500? I mean, they have 8 home games. Could they go 4-4 at home? Yeah, realistically they could. But here's my thing, and here's my hot take. I don't think Washington is as good as everybody's cracking them up to be. I think on paper, sure, they're solid. Jaden Daniels has to be amazing again in order for that team to compete for the division and be in the spot they were last year in the NFC Championship game. And he was. I'm not taking anything away from Jaden Daniels. He was awesome in the postseason. But I think you probably go 2-1. I would take them beating the Vikings and Bears at home, maybe losing to the Lions. The Eagles, they'll probably lose that game. I think they beat the Commanders. I think they can beat the Ravens. That Bengals game will be the highest scoring game in the NFL this year. That's already my prediction. Bengals-Packers will be like 66-60. And then the Panthers will be a win. So yeah, I think they go 500 or better at home. But the road schedule, though, while we're talking about it, not so bad at all. You've got the divisional games, so Vikings, Lions, Bears. These are the 6 non-divisional road games you have. At the Cowboys.
Loss.
Which will probably be on Thanksgiving. It'll be a win for the Packers. At the Giants. At the Browns. At the Steelers. At the Broncos. At the Cardinals. I feel good about all 6 of those. So when I look at the Packers' schedule and I say they're going to go 12-5 or 13-4, I don't think that's crazy. Now, we'll have to see the schedule. We'll have to see the breakout. I will tell you this, though. This is not a report. It is a estimation. It is a hypothesis. But I think we can safely say for the 3rd straight year the Packers will be playing on Thanksgiving, as they have road games slated at both Dallas and Detroit on their schedule this year. The Packers have played the 3rd most Thanksgiving games in NFL history, behind only those 2 teams. I would say it's probably... I think the sexy matchup would be Packers at Cowboys on Thanksgiving. But they could run back what they did 2 years ago and lead Thanksgiving, that 11 a.m. or 11:30 game, whatever time it typically is, with Lions Packers. But I would guess the Packers will be playing on Thanksgiving again. All right, there are your 10 burning questions ahead of the 2025 Green Bay Packers season. That was good. Good job, everybody. Will, nice contribution there.
Was you taking notes?
I bet you were. Do I educate you? Is that the case you're making?
Yeah, I'm still getting fully acclimated to the Packers fandom, so every time.
Is fandom strong? I don't think you're a fan.
Not fandom. That's not the word. Information. Analytics.
Sure.
I was just looking at the Cowboys' home opponents. I think they're going to give them a divisional game. I think they're going to go 2 divisional games on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Because the other ones for the Cowboys after the Packers, it'd be Chiefs, Chargers, Vikings, Cardinals. And
can I? By the way, I was looking at, as I mentioned, I was kind of preparing last night for the show I have coming up on Wednesday, just to give myself any notes, anything to keep an eye on. Now, I will say 2 things before I get to the actual point I was going to make, because I love schedule release day. It's one of my favorite days of the NFL offseason because I'm a dork. So every social media team releases some sort of fun video. It could be a trend. It could be a parody. All 32 teams did it last year for the first time, where they released some sort of social media video at 7 o'clock to release their schedule on social media. Last year, and I was going through my notes on this the other night, I reviewed all 32 of them. I spent a night on my couch watching all 32 social media videos, and I wrote notes about all 32 teams. I think we reviewed them on the show last year.
We did.
When it came to the schedule release video. I just wrote 2 sentences about each of them. And so I started thinking, okay, who should I keep an eye on? Who has a crazy schedule? And I thought to myself, I wonder who's playing opening night. I wonder if I can figure this out, because obviously the Eagles are the Super Bowl champions. They will host that Thursday night game. And they don't have a super sexy home schedule. They obviously have the divisional game, so you could do a rematch week 1 of the NFC Championship game, but I would guess they stay away from that. They
usually
been doing non-divisional games.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do non-divisional games week 1 typically. So you could go Rams at Eagles. Meh. What I think they will end up doing is Lions at Eagles. That will likely be the opening game that Thursday night, Lions-Eagles. It just makes the most sense. But the Eagles' away schedule is absolutely brutal. The Eagles may legitimately go 10-7 this year. And that's not because they're a bad team. It's because they are playing so many tough teams on the road. They go to the following opponents. So obviously the 3 divisional games, Cowboys, Giants, Commanders. These are their non-divisional road games. Tampa Bay, Green Bay, Minnesota in the NFC. And in the AFC, listen to this. They go to Los Angeles to play the Chargers. They go to Buffalo to play the Bills, and they go to Kansas City to play the Chiefs. Eagles' schedule's crazy. They're going to lose in Green Bay.
It's a lot of cold games.
Could be.
Buffalo, KC, and Green Bay.
Imagine those are back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, in December or November.
That'd be great. That'd be great. So,
or the NFL will be nice to them, and they're going to get those in September, and it's going to be 70 and sunny.
and they might. Yeah, I think so. Again, these are my hunches from just getting ready for schedule release day. And maybe I'll give you some more of these on Monday and Wednesday before the schedules drop. Packers will play on Thanksgiving. Lions-Eagles will be your opener on that Thursday. Those are my 2 hunches so far.
Well,
keep you updated.
Do we want to go through any more hunches? I don't know how Josh feels about like you being a schedule nerd or not, because like you're going to get pushed back from Josh. Okay.
No,
so he'll be into
I probably
it.
won't on that.
Okay, good.
Yes. So we hosted the schedule release show together last year. The two of us and Gabe Neitzel did it. And now this year they're just saying, "Hey, Strouf, take it, buddy. It's all you, baby." So I'm gonna be sitting here with like multiple pieces of paper. I'm gonna be like that dude on election night, the same dude who does the Derby. Does anybody know his name?
Steve Kornacki.
You nailed it, brother. Well done. I'm gonna be like him on election night. I'm gonna have all the schedules printed out. It's gonna be awesome. I'm so excited for Wednesday night. But no, Josh is the same way. He loves predicting stuff like this and looking into stuff like this. So I kind of wish he was here because he might argue back with me, but it's either Rams Eagles or Lions Eagles. And if you are NBC and you have that opening Thursday night, you are totally protecting Lions Eagles. That is the cream of the crop of home games for the Eagles. That's not in the division.
But are they going to go because the Lions went to the Chiefs and won that game?
That's correct.
So are they going to make... That
was 2 years ago, though, right?
Yeah. I'm just saying that, like, maybe they don't have them do that so close because usually you don't get that. Because, like, I keep going back and forth in my mind. I think it's going to be the Rams. I think they want the LA market on there because they'll be going out east. You get the earlier time. You're going to get a higher bump on that West Coast market.
Yep. Totally. I think there's certainly a case to be made on that one, and the Rams are viewed as one of the favorites in the NFC also. So there's certainly a case to make. But I just think Lions-Eagles is the no-brainer on that one. So we'll see. Got a couple days left. Got to get through one more weekend, and then we'll have a schedule. That's when we get to play a schedule game, predict how the record is. Will probably have the Bears going 11-6.
Yeah, I always put them at 11-6, actually, regardless of the schedule.
No, so the Bears are going 11-6 this year?
Yeah, I can tell you that right now.
Okay, got it. Book it. NBA playoffs, dude, have been so phenomenal. I said it on Wednesday. It's already exceeded March Madness, and we're only in the second round. Now, since I've said that, we've had essentially 2 duds and one really good game. Knicks Celtics on Wednesday night was awesome. Unbelievable comeback by the Knicks. A ridiculous collapse by the Celtics. Our friend of show and teammate Evan Cohen, who hosts on Sportsmanlike on ESPN Radio weekdays from 5 to 9 Central with Chris Canny and Michelle Smallman, ESPN2, ESPNU, you can watch it. He had the best take I've heard on this game from Knicks Celtics on Thursday morning. He said, nobody looked better in Knicks Celtics than Steve Kerr, who is, of course, is the head coach of the Warriors. And you say, well, Strouf, Evan's take makes no sense. Steve Kerr has nothing to do with the Knicks and Celtics. You're right, he doesn't. But he was the head coach of the Olympic team. And he didn't play Jason Tatum. And he played Derek White. And that made him look smart. And Jason Tatum was horrendous on Wednesday. In the collapse, late in the game, I think he shot 5 of 19. I mean, he was not good. He was awful. He had 13 points. For Jason Tatum standards, he was awful. 91-90, Knicks win. They're up 2-0. They steal both games in Boston. Wednesday night, Oklahoma City ties it up. They blow out the Nuggets. That series is tied at 1-1. And then Thursday night, another blowout. Timberwolves get even with the Warriors, the Steph Curry-less Warriors. 117-93 the final in that one, but it was never really a game. Timberwolves took an early lead and never let go, which is something you do not see a lot in these NBA playoffs. Typically, if you build a big lead, you're going to blow it and lose. It seemingly has been the case in the NBA playoffs. But the T-Wolves, really solid night for them. Good night for Julius Randle. Good night for Ant. And they even that series at 1 as well. 2 games tonight, which I will be seated for. 6:30 tip between the Cavaliers and the Pacers. Pacers bring that series back to Indianapolis with a 2-0 lead after, again, just a phenomenal comeback the other night, on Tuesday night. As Tyrese Halliburton, he did the big cojones celebration after he hit that three-pointer to take the lead and ultimately win that game on Tuesday.
Can't stand him, but that was awesome.
Yep, bingo. Took the words right out of my mouth, Hunter.
Sorry.
Can't stand him. But no, don't apologize. I totally agree with you. I can't stand him right now. And look, I struggle with this because I typically root for anybody from Wisconsin, but Tyrese is just on my nerves, and obviously the whole thing between his dad and Giannis just plays into it extra. But damn, was that badass. Halliburton gets his own miss, brings it back outside, hits the shot, does the big cojones celebration, gives Indiana a 2-0 lead on the road, and now they bring that series back to Indiana tonight. Thunder Nuggets Game 3 is tonight as well in Denver, with that series tied at 1.
Pacers have been my sleeper team. I've been saying it. Like, anytime you can play 11 guys in a playoff game, that's unheard of.
The depth is super impressive. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. But let's not forget this postseason, they have won a series without the point guard of the opposite team being Damian Lillard, and now they have won 2 games without Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, and DeAndre Hunter. So, again, you got to get lucky. You got to be healthy. You got to be good, right? That's always the code to winning in the postseason. And they are getting lucky in terms of injury breaks, and they are deep. And I'm not saying they're not a good team, because they are, but they are missing some really important pieces. Cleveland is, that they're going to need to get back if they're going to win the series.
I think the other thing is, too, is that the Celtics have just shown everybody that they are not who anyone thought they are. They just live and die by the three-pointer, and they've shot, I think they missed, 45 three-pointers or something in Game 1, the most ever in a playoff game. So, I mean, and the Knicks are beatable. I think the Pacers match up very well with the Knicks, so it'll be interesting down the stretch, but, I mean, the West Coast is just cinema. I think the West Coast...
So good.
So good. Jokic.
I still think the Eastern Conference will. I don't know if I'll go cinema route because they're both 2-0, but underdogs leading, bringing those series back home. I mean, could we see a sweep? Maybe. But I just think both the Celtics and Cavs are too good. I mean, the Cavs are beat up. That's the part that hurts them. But I still think the Celtics find a way to win a game in New York and at least bring it back 3-1.
That's the thing, too, as I thought these were going to be a very lopsided series in the other way.
Yeah.
I thought Cavs and Celtics runaway Eastern Conference Finals, not even a second thought.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's 2-0 makes it so much more interesting now, and pretty evenly interesting with the Western Conference, where you have a Steph Curry-less Warriors who's horrible without him.
Yes,
literally cannot play basketball.
No, it was a rough sight the other night.
If the Knicks and the Pacers go up 3-0, like, those series are done, right? Like, that's just, there's no way that Boston's coming back and winning 4 straight.
I will say I have more faith in Boston than I do Cleveland in their current state, just because of the injuries. But yeah, I mean, if either of those series goes 3-0, it's over. And look, I think we can all agree on something for once, which is very rare on this program. We're all rooting for the Knicks, right? In the Eastern Conference?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a no-brainer. I just they're a likable. I would say Karl Anthony Towns, by no means the most likable guy in the NBA, but Jalen Brunson is likable. Josh Hart is likable.
Could debate the Jalen Brunson.
Really? Why?
Just have you not watched, like, every time a team that he's playing goes on a run, it's just like a foul bait shot where he's just like trying so hard to get fouled, and he is very good at basketball. Like, he can score whenever he wants to. But I just hate when he does that, like, foul bait stuff where he drives and he's just taking unserious shots looking for fouls.
Unserious shots.
But I do think he's very good, and I like him, but I just don't like it when he does that.
Is the fact that the Nuggets are, like, playing well with an interim coach, is it annoying at all for, like, I'm kind of annoyed by it. So I'm like, why couldn't the Bucks do that?
From a Bucks perspective?
Yeah. Because I'm just like, oh, why couldn't the Bucks do that? Like, they fire their coach and they suck still.
But here's the thing. I think it underlines how bad the end of the Michael Malone era was in Denver, right? The reports where he lost the locker room and nobody respected him and nobody wanted to listen to him, and they had to make the change when they did. Now, obviously, it's an improbable run by Denver, but here they are. And, you know, playing good basketball, obviously they got shellacked on Wednesday night by Oklahoma City. But they're in the series. They're bringing it back to Denver, and they stole a game in Oklahoma City, with still 3 games at least to play in Denver. So I mean, it's crazy to see what they're doing, but I think it just underlines how bad it must have been with Michael Malone there at the end.
I've read that it was very toxic at the end of his tenure, and his removal has allowed Jokic to become a lot more of a leader, outspoken, and a captain. Which, I mean, having a guy like that on your squad who's the second in MVP voting.
What do you think he says?
What do you mean?
Like, I don't.
It's got to be horse racing analogy.
Seriously. Yeah, I was going to say, is he talking about horses?
You know, no one watches more basketball than Jokic.
What do you mean no one?
How do you know
all
that?
His teammates say he is the guy. I've heard it from his teammates. They all say he watches more
you're
basketball
talking
than
to his
anybody
teammates?
they know. And they are in the NBA.
You got Porter Jr.'s
Look it up.
digits? Dude's doing his update saying that he struggles to get girls' numbers at bars, but yet he's hearing what the players are saying. What are we talking about, Will? Come on.
You're saying Jokic doesn't know anything about basketball? He doesn't know ball?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
He doesn't know how the flow of the game works?
Hang on. I'm not saying that Jokic doesn't know ball or watch film. What I'm saying is you dropping it like you're somehow a Nuggets insider was just crazy.
Why did he say that? He just said he read it.
He literally said.
Look it up.
He literally said his teammates have said that. He made it sound like he's the one hearing the information. I'm just calling that out. That's all I'm saying.
Will, did you know Michael Porter Jr. has me blocked on Instagram?
No, that's kind of awesome. Why is it?
What'd you do?
I didn't do anything. I did something.
Nuggets guard Christian Brown even stated that Jokic will text him about games that are on at super late night, like at foreign basketball games.
Christian Brown being the one that receives those texts was not on my bingo
When I was at the Bucks game and they walked in through the tunnel, they were like, I think they're pretty tight.
Him and Brown?
Yeah.
Okay. Christian Brown, good player.
Yeah, he's been very good.
Good player. So when I was in middle school and high school, I had a fascination with an actress by the name of Madison Pettis. She's about my age, maybe a year older than me. She was way back in the day. This was prior to all this going down. She was way back in the day in The Game Plan, I think it's called. It's with The Rock.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I know what you're talking about.
Yep.
Where he's a football player.
Yeah, and that movie is, 20 years old at this point, probably. But anyway, later she got into modeling. I think she's still into modeling. But she followed, I think it was a thing she did, where she followed, everyone back. So I DM'd her when I was a freshman in high school. Maybe a sophomore in high school. I DM'd her jokingly, and I was like, hey, how many likes to bring you to prom? One of those. And at the time, she was dating Michael Porter Jr., who was the number one recruit in the country in high school basketball. And, later in life, this was after they broke up, I tried to find his Instagram to no avail. I was like, what's going on here? So I went on another account, because I have multiple accounts, which you can follow me on Instagram at Strouf ESPN. And I found him. I was like, wait a minute. So I went back to my other account, and he was gone. Can't find him. He may have unblocked me now. I haven't looked in years. But I believe he was upset that I was asking his girlfriend to prom.
So he felt threatened by you?
I think that is the case you could make, yes.
Wow. That's got to be a big ego boost.
Yeah, he was the number one recruit in the country at the time. So to see that he had me blocked when I've never commented anything on any of his posts.
And you were in his head.
Apparently. Yeah. True story. So,
great. Let's talk Bill Belichick.
Yeah, let's talk about other dysfunctional relationships, shall we? I mean, this is just bizarre. So the Bill Belichick, Jordan Hudson, his girlfriend, 24 years old, situation just continues to evolve in really strange ways. So you're living under a rock if you have no idea what I'm talking about. The long and short of this is, prior to Bill Belichick accepting the job at North Carolina in December, he had been dating and has been dating Jordan Hudson, the 24-year-old. I think she's a model. I think that's what she does professionally, or at least did at one point. They've been dating for a while. Obviously, a serious relationship. Good for them. Whatever. Not going to mention the age gap. I don't really care about that detail, although it is about 50 years. They have been seen doing some weird stuff, right? Like yoga on the beach, posting about that. Then a couple weeks ago, there's this interview with CBS where she's interjecting when asked about how they met when he's doing a tour for his book. There was video that surfaced at one point of her walking around a football field with knee-high heels on, and seemingly directing traffic during a UNC practice. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff within the story. This story took an extra twist earlier today when it was initially reported that Jordan Hudson had been banned from the North Carolina campus and the football facilities. Now, the University of North Carolina having to run PR control, damage control on this situation, officially releasing a statement today saying, while Jordan Hudson is not an employee at the university or Carolina Athletics, she is welcome to the Carolina football facilities. Jordan will continue to manage all activities relating to Coach Belichick's personal brand outside of his responsibilities for Carolina football and the university. So how it is understood is she is essentially in charge of Bill Belichick's social media and some of his marketing and some of his, appearances, yada, yada. That is the way it is understood. But Bill Belichick, and you've heard some of his former players say this, Bill Belicick was the most feared man in sports for over a decade. Multiple-time Super Bowl champion, built the best dynasty in the modern era of professional football, helped create and build and coach the greatest quarterback to ever play the game in Tom Brady. He was just this badass. He was this revered figure in football. And it's just sad to see a guy that, as I mentioned, his former players have relayed this now, a guy that used to preach, don't make distractions, don't create distractions, creating a ton of distractions prior to what is debatably one of the biggest hires in college football history. Bill Belicick going to the college level and taking over North Carolina. He hasn't coached a game yet. And he is in the media for all the wrong reasons. He's in the tabloids. He's in the news for all the wrong reasons. It's because of his relationship and his dynamic with his girlfriend. And I am not going to sit here and judge his dynamic with his girlfriend, right? Do it whatever the hell makes you happy, man. That's a good mantra of life. Just do whatever makes you happy. But when it comes to the relationship and some of the dynamics between Jordan Hudson and Bill Belicick, it's very off-putting. It just is. As a natural observer, it is off-putting. It is weird. But so be it, right? If it makes you happy, do it. I don't care. It's none of my business. But the fact that it is now creating distractions and taking away from one of the biggest coaching hires in college football history and what should be, a buildup of great anticipation for what is the Bill Belichick era in college football. What does that look like? What will that be? It's not that. It's, how about this 24-year-old girlfriend? How about their yoga poses? How about his appearance on CBS? How about her interjecting in his interview appearances? Now she's banned by the university, but isn't banned by the university. It's a distraction. If I'm North Carolina, I'm embarrassed. For a university that is so well respected in so many regards, especially right in men's basketball. That's obviously, of course, the sport they've always been a blue blood in or respected in, Dean Smith and, everybody. But now they've got this clown show of the best football coach ever coming to Chapel Hill. Beautiful city, by the way. And it's just not at all what anybody expected, right? Whoever made the decision to hire Belichick was probably like, hell yeah, dude. We just hired Bill Belichick. We're going to win 1 million national championships. We're going to be the conversation. The conversation you were in is this the cringiest public relationship we've ever seen? That's the conversation you're in North Carolina football. And now you're being dragged into it because there's rumors that the girlfriend is being banned from the facilities, but in reality, nope, she's welcome anytime. It's a mess. It's a complete and utter disaster thus far. Now, at the end of the day, what we know in sports is winning cures everything, right? If Bill Belichick strolls into Chapel Hill and come October, they're 5-0, we're not hearing about Jordan anymore. We're not hearing about Jordan Hudson. We're hearing about how Bill Belichick came to college football and transitioned seamlessly. But if they start 1-4, the headlines are going to be disastrous. It's going to be called the Bill Belichick experiment because it's going to end after one season. This could get worse. It could get better because winning cures everything. But it could also get worse, and I would not be surprised if it does.
So if they go 5-0 to start, you're not giving any credit to Jordan?
Now, that's a good follow-up. Maybe she deserves credit. She's the Belichick whisperer.
Maybe she's bringing the national spotlight on North Carolina football. If she's PR and marketing,
here's the thing.
She's doing her job.
Putting the spotlight on programs that have not typically had a spotlight on them is something the state of Wisconsin is no stranger to. Right? Green Bay basketball. Last season, Doug Gottlieb, national sports radio host, longtime commentator, a former college basketball player who was darn good. And darn scrutinized, given some of the stuff he found himself in when he was a college student in the late 90s. It's a big name, right? A big name who is working 2 jobs, and you don't really know what to expect. And they are statistically the worst team in college basketball. That is a spotlight for all the wrong reasons. Now, I can acknowledge for both Bill Belicick and Doug Gottlieb, more so Gottlieb because he's at a mid-major, and he does not have 6 Super Bowls as a head coach. But for Gottlieb, good things take time, right? I'm going to give him a pass on year 1. If it's as bad as it was last year, this year, then I think Green Bay and athletic director Josh Moon can go ahead and look at maybe making a change. When it comes to North Carolina, that's Bill freaking Belichick, dude. Like, you're not getting better than that. You're not taking any swing and getting better than that. So to answer your question, I don't know, Will. I don't know. Will she get credit? Probably not. Maybe she will, though. I can't predict the future. But if I had to predict the future, I would guess they will not be 5-0.
This feels like another like Colorado Buffalo franchise where they're just going to be the focus of college football, regardless of how good or bad they are.
It's yes and no, because at least everything there was mostly internal, right? It was Dion, and he was beefing with other coaches, and he talks his talk, which that's just the Dion experience. But he's a proven head coach, at least, as is Belichick. Not as proven as Belichick, but he was winning when he was at Jackson State. Now, it was a media circus, without a doubt, right? Talking about his son and obviously Shador, but they had this Heisman Trophy level guy in Travis Hunter. So a little bit different, but I hear you. I hear the comparison. It's a fair comparison to draw. So, all right. I think I'm done ranting about Bill Belicick. I just need to get that off my chest. That is such a wacky situation. All right, we're running late. And Josh isn't even here. We're running late. Let's wrap it up with what we learned. You learn something new every day. We learn something new today. It's time now for What We Learned on Mr. Relevant, which, of course, is presented by Door County Distillery. Locally produced, handcrafted, award-winning spirits made locally in beautiful Door County. Whether you're heading up to Door County this summer, you got to check out Door County Distillery. All the tastings, all the tours. I talked about Wednesday, the haunted basement, former schoolyard basement. Pretty sweet there. They're rolling out something really exciting in the next couple weeks, by the way. I can't tell you quite yet what that is, but if you're a bourbon lover, like I am, you're going to be very excited. If you're mixing up old fashions, bourbon, I love their bourbon. I'm serious. It's delicious. Single malt whiskey is a 27-time Gold Medal Award winner from Door County Distillery, and they've got that cherry brandy infused with local Door County cherries. And what I found out today is we will be up in Door County in just over a month. Friday, June 13th, I think is the date, Hunter. Is that right?
It is Friday the 13th. So we have to go down into the basement. We might have to do like a segment down in the basement.
Oh, that is a great point by you. Yeah, Friday the 13th, June 13th, Hunter and I will be up at Door County Distillery in Carlsville. So if you're heading up that weekend, come hang out with us. We'll be doing a live edition of Mr. Relevant live from Door County Distillery coming up June 13th up in Door County. So looking forward to that. DoorCountyDistillery.com is their website for a huge list of unique cocktail recipes as well as a retailer near you. All right, what I learned. What did I learn?
Do you not have one?
Did you
I definitely
forget?
have one. I wrote it down. I forgot. Yeah,
You forgot? I mean, you literally sent me the tweet about it. Do you want me to do it?
I know. No, I got it. Hold on. Oh, I remember. Okay. Yeah, this. Oh, God.
Wow.
Just as I get my blood pressure to come back down, it's just going to go right back up. I don't care what title you have on yourself when you are a draft prospect. You can be generational like this fella is. I actually, you know what? I might change my take on the fly. I almost respect the cojones it takes to do this, but it seems a little bit too egotistical to me. This is about Abdul Carter, the new member of the New York Giants. So he finally today chose his rookie number, or his jersey number, 51 he's going to wear for the New York Giants. But prior to that, he reached out to two different guys that have retired jerseys with the New York Giants to ask them if he could wear it. And luckily, for my sake, they both said no. Now, obviously, this was probably triggered by the whole Cam Ward, Warren Moon situation, right? Cam Ward is going to wear jersey number 1. Warren Moon presented him with the jersey number 1 at his introductory press conference. Cool moment, awesome moment, great. Abdul Carter gets drafted to the New York Giants 3rd overall and asks Phil Simms, the former Giants quarterback, if he can wear number 11, because that was his jersey number in college. And Phil Simms is like, no, it's retired. What are we doing here? Actually, Phil may have said yes, but his family said no, as I actually think what happened there. And then Lawrence Taylor, who many view as the best defensive player ever in the history of the NFL, number 55.
Until Micah Parsons retires.
And Lawrence Taylor says no to Abdul Carter. So now Abdul Carter's wearing number 51. To have the wherewithal mentally to say, hey, you know what? You know what I deserve before ever playing a snap in the NFL? The jersey number of the best player ever. That's what I deserve. where do we get off here?
Well,
what are we doing?
So there is also, and this could be a little bit within their division, the Cowboys do a thing where they don't actually retire numbers. They just put them into their ring of honor. And then their whole idea is like wide receivers. You have CeeDee Lamb, who wears 88. Before that, Des Bryant. You had Michael Irvin and then Drew Pearson. And their whole idea, and Michael Irvin was part of the one to start this, was like, no, I want guys to wear my number. So when they do awesome things wearing that number, people still talk about me decades later. So
now here's the thing with the Cowboys. It's worked. 88 has worked for the Cowboys.
Yes.
I'm agreeing with you. But that's not going to work. It's eventually, somebody's eventually going to wear 88 who's not good. It's just going to happen. Right? And or who doesn't pan out. I probably shouldn't say isn't good because it's likely going to go to a first-round pick who's very good, just might not pan out. You can't retire a number then unretire it. That's just beating the entire purpose. It's defeating the whole purpose, and it irritates the hell out of me. The Warren Moon thing was nice. I think it was initiated by Warren, and he said, I would like to do this. It's a gesture I would like to make, which I'm fine with then. If Lawrence Taylor calls up Abdul Carter and says, hey, buddy, it's Lawrence Taylor. I want you to wear 55. It's a different story. To go to not one, but two different individuals with retired numbers for a franchise you just joined is crazy behavior to me.
See, I mean, it's still a stretch to ask Lawrence Taylor, like a large stretch, but at least it makes a little bit of sense because he's an edge rusher for the Giants. But then the Phil Simms, it's like, all right, come on, it's kind of weird. But it's one thing if Warren Moon gives you the number, because I don't think Cam Ward asked for it.
I don't either. Yeah.
Warren Moon just knew that I believe he wore one in college, right? And was obviously the number one pick and just gave it to him. But if you're like going around begging people, I mean, if you get denied once publicly, and you're like, oh yeah.
Like, how do you think...
The two greatest players in Giants history, too.
How do you think Phil Simms reacts to that phone call?
Who is this?
Well, he probably knows who he is, but he's like, what are we doing?
Well, yeah, but like, who do you think you are?
Right. What are we doing here? Well, how do you think other Giants greats view this? Right? Like, how do you think Michael Strahan is viewing this?
Why didn't he ask?
Yeah, that's probably a good point. That's probably a good point.
But like, I think there's also a level of
left out.
To be as great as what Phil Simms was and what Lawrence Taylor was. There's a level of like arrogance that you have to have in your life. So I kind of respect it from Carter. Like, I'm going to go for it. Yeah, this is crazy. Yeah, I might get ripped apart for it. But, like, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try it. Like, the worst thing that happens is they say no. The second he has a couple of sacks here early in the season, then no one's going to remember this. Like, this isn't something that will follow him his entire career, unless he's bad.
All right. What drags out longer? The Abdul Carter jersey number or Jordan Hudson? Oh, that's not even a good question.
It's Jordan.
Yeah,
it's Jordan.
It's not close.
Yeah.
It's not close.
Jordan sanity.
The Bears still suck. Congrats to the Pope.
Da Pope.
I knew that was coming. Well, good job today, Hunter. Good stuff today. We'll be back with you Monday beginning at 12:30 Central, ESPN Milwaukee, ESPN Madison on YouTube. Joshy will rejoin us Monday as well. Enjoy your weekend. Make decent decisions. Enjoy the basketball. Hopefully the Brewers can win in Tampa starting tonight. It's go time for the Brewers. 19-19 now, right at 500. 3 games back of the Cubbies. Got to win the division if you're going to make the postseason in the NL this year. So hopefully the Brewers can get a couple games above 500 this weekend as they take on the Rays down in Tampa. We will talk to you Monday beginning at 12:30, and of course available wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the all-new ESPN Wisconsin app. We will talk to you then. I'm Alex Strouf. Peace.